10, 10. I'm going to sell it right there. That was about, I want to say $17,000. Okay, so here is a fast moving stock price action on good news. I've already made about $3,500, as you can see in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. But you can see how fast this is moving. So I averaged down into this position. This was actually a really, really bad trade, and this is a habit I'm trying to fix. But I'm averaging, I want to average into support, not average down because it's failing. And sometimes these move so fast, it's really hard to figure out. But so I had to sell that for a loss of about $400 or $500, whatever it was. And you can see here I'm back in with 1,000 shares as it starts to squeeze back up. Since I noticed there was a base forming at about $7.60, I knew that I'd have a stop somewhere in there. Up about 120 right now. Giving it time before it breaks. Okay, there it goes. 10-second chart is on the left. 1 minute chart is on the right. So there we go, up 330. There's that big pop we wanted. Big pop, big push, up 400, 440. Touches 500. And then it doesn't really hold that level, so I cut it there for about a $300 or $400 gain. And now we've got some topping tails there, but I'm back in this position because I'm trying to get that second break, because it should start squeezing towards the high, because the MACD, which is in the bottom of that middle chart there, is starting to close. There's the pop that we wanted. And then I sold that position. I don't remember for how much, but we sold that. And then I got back in because I wanted to see it hold 8. But there's a huge topping tail there, quite the rejection, which made this a riskier trade. That's why I went back in with 1,000 shares. And then I sold that for a loss because it was moving not in the direction we wanted. It wasn't really holding. And I actually think I was back in at 850, not 8, trying to get it to hold 50. Sold for another little loss there. Back in because it's squeezing up. A lot of topping tails though. It's just kind of sell side heavy. And then as you can see here, this is where it really starts to flush down. And I'm averaging in. So right now I'm at 4,000 shares. Excuse me. I'm averaging down. Now I'm at 5,000, hoping it's going to hold this level and give me a bounce back. It brought my cost average down to like $8.30. But that's really not good considering the direction it's going. And these things flush fast. So boom, right there. I should have just cut it, but I have that bad habit of adding to these in the simulator, which is something I can't do on my real account, but I'm trying to break that habit and just take the loss for what it is before it gets anywhere. So I added right there at the 200 moving average on the 10-second chart, but then it drops into a halt and I have to sell the thing for a loss of 13,000. So no good. All right, so we're back shortly before the aftermarket session. We ended up recovering from that drawdown of negative 16,000, and now we're back up $22,900. We made some really good trades here. I'll pull those up. Bottom right hand corner of the screen. Made some really good ones. We had a $12,000 trade, which I'll pop up here in just a second. You can watch that. But we made some good trades and we dug ourselves out of the hole. But unfortunately, I ended up leaving. I had some work to do, and I forgot that I still had a position open because I was trading something else that was moving. So we have negative $3,000 of unrealized loss here. So, but we're just going to hold it into the aftermarket and kind of see what happens, because it's on, the number one gainer of the day. This one, the top one here at 914%, is fairly irrelevant. So we'll see what happens. But unfortunately, we bought that position at 1,000 shares at 1201. So maybe I'll average down just a little bit right here. There we go. Now we're at 996, which is much more reasonable, and we're on a bit of an uptick. So we're still a whole dollar off. But if I bought on an uptick and I was expecting a break, so right now if we broke like 1052, we would be doing pretty darn good. 1050 we bought for that break, we'd be doing fine if I bought 5,000 shares down here if it came up. But right now there's really no indicator that's going to come up because our MACD is negative right here. Kind of hard to see. It was positive for a while, but I imagine this will start moving in the aftermarket. It's either going to sell off really hard or it'll bump up. So I guess we'll just hold it and find out. But the important thing is I traded my way out of a $16,000 drawdown. And the $16,000 drawdown was with a 10,000 share position, which was just that autopilot thing I'm trying to get rid of. But the $12,000 trade was with the 5,000 share position. So 10,000 share position and a 5,000 share position. So that's pretty good. Maybe another ad. The next reasonable price for this drop, if it breaks this level of about 840, is for it to come back to 750. So I'd hit one ad at 750. We'd expect to bounce off the 1 minute 200 moving average. It's very possible this trade doesn't work out, but I'm curious to see what this does in the aftermarket. Yesterday we lost big on one in the aftermarket when we were up about $2 a share because it ripped for the first minute and then it tanked. And it was the number one gainer. It was up about 600%, just like this one is. This one's up almost 900%. I don't think this bottom level of support at 749 really means anything because it's so close to the 200 moving average. So if it breaks that, it's going to go back down to VWAP. It might bounce off VWAP, but I would imagine at that point, if it doesn't hold VWAP, it's done. And we broke. Let's see if we can get a 200 EMA ad. Let it dump a little bit. That didn't really help anything. We're going to have to cost average down significantly. Okay, cool. All right, so now we're being completely unrealistic. What? We're in this thing at 10,000 shares. Brought our cost average down to 851. I think that's a reasonable, a reasonable recovery. We'll find out. 59 on the bid, 62 on the bid. Back to 59. We're officially in the aftermarket. Let's wait and see what happens. It either flush dumps or it rips. It's one of the two. And it's going to rip here. Back to 9. 923. 937. 953. Squeeze into 10 maybe. 10. 10. I'm going to sell it right there. That was about, I want to say $17,000.